Good morning, folks, and welcome to, pardon me, the Monday, February 22 edition of Monday Marketing Minutes. As you can tell, I have a little bit of an under the weather issue today. I'm getting over a head cold, so please pardon the occasional cough or whatever. Shouldn't interfere with our program, and because we're doing this over the internet, I won't spread it around either. Anyway, welcome to Monday Marketing Minutes. The whole purpose of this program really is to answer your questions about marketing, answer your burning issues, and we can do that in real time. If you look at the lower left hand corner of your screen, or maybe it's the lower right, I'm not sure when I look at it this way. But in any case, the white box is the chat box, the YouTube chat box. And in that box at the bottom, you can type in a question and I will see it on the screen as you type it in or as soon as you hit the return key. And I will do my darndest to keep an eye on that box and answer your questions in real time. So make sure I get your questions because the only dumb question is a question you don't ask. And if you don't ask it, I sure as heck can't answer it. We've got some marketing advice for you today, and that's going to deal today with putting presentations together and delivering them. We're going to have a few tips when it comes to putting the actual graphics and things like that together for you. And then used to have a space for a guest speaker in here, but it's been a technical issue. It's been very difficult to try to get somebody into and still use this XSplit broadcast utility. So I've given up on that, and I was thinking about doing a blab, but that one also is an issue of trying to put that screen in here because it wants to share my camera. So in any case, we're not going to do that anymore. What I've done is replace that section of the program with my editorial commentary. And today that's going to be my every year or every 2 year rant about crappy business cards. So please do remember to type in your questions at any point in the program and I will answer them. I will also be answering viewer questions that have come in the last couple of weeks. So with that, let's get started here. Remember, this is where you get your answers. If you don't ask the questions, I can't answer them. Use the chat box now. It's a white box on the lower right of your screen. And your fellow viewers will thank you. When I did a survey about this program, people said the real-time questions were very valuable to them. And yet, not so many of you are asking them. So, a little bit of a dichotomy there. But today's advice has to deal with creating presentations that persuade. And I took these bullets from a little ebook that I put out called Presentations That Persuade. And the first of those says research your audience. You want to make sure that you know who it is you're talking to, and you want to make sure you know what it is they might be interested in hearing. If you do that, you have a much better chance of connecting with your audience than if you just hit them with something out of the blue that has no relevance for them. So you need to research your audience and find out what's going to work for them. And you want to start with the end of your presentation in mind from the beginning. What do I mean by that? I mean, basically, figure out what you want somebody to do as a result of listening to your presentation. What is the call to action that you're going to issue at the end of the presentation? What problem is it you're trying to solve? Define that problem for them and then propose possible solutions. And I've always recommended that when you're proposing solutions, you always propose a minimum of two, preferably three, and the one in the middle being the one that is the one you really would like to have adopted. Now, why is that? Well, the reason for that is that you don't want to ask a question that says yes or no. You do not want somebody to be able to say no to your proposal when you issue the request for a decision. So the choice is not yes or no, do it or not do it. The choice is A, B, or C. And so you want to make sure that you propose the possible solutions and explain the trade offs. Now, if you expect objections, or if you've gotten objections before to what you're talking about, put those into your presentation. Preclude those, preempt those, so that when the objection would have come up or might come up at the end, you have already defused that objection because you've heard it before. So acknowledge those, especially if they're legitimate objections, and get in there and put the materials in that will let you defuse or preempt them. Outline the personal benefits for folks. People don't really care what it is you want. People care what it is they want. People want to know what's in it for them. Now, is that selfish? Is it greedy? You can argue that all day long. But the simple fact is, people want to make sure that there's something in it for them. So when you talk about benefits, they're not only benefits to maybe society or to your business or to community, but also benefits for each of the individuals who might contribute to or be a stumbling block to getting your proposal adopted. So outline those personal benefits and then ask for the best choice. It's like my comments a few minutes ago. If you don't ask a question, I can't answer it. So if you don't ask for a decision, you're not going to get it. There's a story up on YouTube that I did called Authority versus Power that kind of goes into this in a lot more detail if you want to watch that one day. But unless you ask, you're not going to get an answer that's going to be yes. And you want that answer yes. A, B, or C. Do we start this week or next week? So I hope that makes it clear. If you want more detail, you can get Presentations That Persuade. It's available on the website. Now, when you put your charts together and your graphics together, try to use graphics where possible. Now, I just broke that rule in the previous slide because there were no graphics really that would fit on the screen to get those 8 or 9 points across. But I used bullet points and I did not use paragraphs. So you want to have the bullet points up there, pardon me, to remind you of what it is you want to say, but you don't want to just be reading those things. You want to avoid complex charts. If you put complex charts up, people are not going to be able to see them, particularly since a lot of people watch programs like this on tablets or on smartphones. If you're watching this on your computer and you can go full screen, I'm sure you have no issue at all reading any of the graphics or the bullets that I have put up. Maybe a little bit of issue with the chat box, but there's not much I can do about that. But the real issue, if somebody's looking at this on a tablet, is you got to make sure that the fonts are big enough, minimum 24 points on your bullets, and avoid those complex charts. And when you get ready to do your presentation, when you think it's time to put it together, it's done, you're ready to go, then you need to practice. And practice, practice, practice. I tell a story in one of my vignettes somewhere, and I tell it in the Inspiration Now book, about winning an award for best presentation in England back in the 80s, and how I went to work and put the slides together and made sure they were pretty, made sure they followed the guidelines I've shared with you this morning. And I practiced that talk until I could give that talk in my sleep. I practiced that talk so much that when I got up to give it in front of 300 people, it was like watching myself give it. It was almost an out of body experience. I knew it so well, but I hadn't done it in such a way that I didn't connect with my audience. And when it comes to connecting with your audience, there's another point, and that is try to make sure you do that early. One of the best ways to do that is by asking a rhetorical or even a non-rhetorical question that you already know the answer to, and get people to interact with a show of hands. Maybe one or two or even three questions to get them involved and make sure that they believe that what you're going to be saying is relevant to them. So practice it by yourself in front of a mirror. You'll want to make sure you have the timing right, depending on your allotted time. Practice it with family because they might have questions that reveal jargon or stuff that people wouldn't understand. And practice it with your colleagues and ask them to come up with objections or ask for explanations so you can refine the presentation and then make sure your call to action ends up with a yes, as I mentioned in the previous graphic. Another little ebook out called The Piano Story, Getting to Yes in the Sales Process. And it talks about a lady who's going to 3 different piano stores to choose a piano to bring her husband back to. And the story is pretty involved. And when you're finished, you'll know a lot about pianos, but you'll also know how to get a yes, even if you're selling the same thing at the same price of the same quality of somebody else, by creating the differentiation that makes your choice the best. So if you want to get a hold of the piano story, it's like the ebook is $3 or some such thing. Very inexpensive. And I think you'll find it's very informative in terms of making sure that your call to action, you get a yes question as a result of that. So that's the advice and the tips today for the advice and tips on creating presentations and delivering them. Now, over this past weekend on Saturday, I decided it was time to enter some leads into my mailing list. And over the past 3 weeks, I have collected roughly 50 business cards from people at various events. I went to Portland Connect, I went to Network Before Work, I went to all 3 of the Network with Results International groups, one in Vancouver, Fort Vancouver, and Portland, and I went to the Portland Small Business Network after hours. And I met people there who I exchanged business cards with. And what I try to do when I put those into my CRM system and for importing into the mailing list program is I try to scan them or use a program to take a picture of them so that they can be optically character read and then put into an Excel spreadsheet where I can process them in the other areas. Now, some things are easy to read and scan, others are impossible. So here's some examples of some cards that just really fail in terms of design. The one on the left-hand side, the white one there, with the tiny little type that says my company name in it, and then has the full company name down below it. This is a real card. I've obviously camouflaged the person who gave it to me, and you probably can't see it on this screen, but way up here in the corner, let me see if I can get my mouse to go onto it. Way up here in this corner is the lady's name and title in very light orange type on this gray background. And way down here in the left-hand corner is the business name again, the physical address, and the website, but no email. And the information is in 6-point type, except for the website, which is in 5-point type. So I had to get a magnifying ruler out to be able to read this in order to enter it into the database. And look at all that wasted space on that business card. There's no reason to skimp on the size of the type and to not make sure that you do it so it's scannable, so it's physically readable. I mean, this one was an absolute mess to read. Another example over here is white out of black or color out of black. This makes it difficult to scan things, although it makes for a pretty decent looking card. So this one required manual entry. It's just the scanning programs don't do a good job. But one of the other items I noticed on this is that there's a graphic down here that talks about, pardon me, talks about all of the social media sites that this person is apparently connected to. And you'll notice there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's Instagram, there's all kinds of things down there. But what good are those on a business card? Because there's no link to any of them. How do I know where on Facebook to find this person, or where on Twitter to find this person, or where on LinkedIn or Pinterest? There's no way to figure out how to get to them unless I want to go on those sites and search for them. And not everybody uses their name to do that, to create their accounts. Or if they have a business account, it'll be different. So in this particular case, while that might be great on a website where the links are in there as hyperlinks and they'll take you right to those pages, putting on a business card is absolutely useless. Another example, again, this one was color out of black. Fairly attractive. There was a picture on it, and there was a phone number, a full name with an email address on it, and the email address was the Gmail, not the domain name of the website. But there's nowhere on this card that it talks about a business name or what kind of business the person is in. So, unless I write notes on the back of this card when I first get it, the chances of me remembering what this person does and what the name of their business is and how they might be able to help me or I might be able to help them is not very good. So, I also added in here, just as an example, a version that I would recommend because mine looks a little bit like that. But let me explain why. Number one, it's got a photo, okay? Now, for real estate, mortgage brokers, people like that, they often like to have a photo, insurance agents. But if you don't use a photo, that's okay. It's got the logo from the company on it, so I know what the company name is. And that logo might be a different graphic or any kinds of a thing that implies to somebody what it is you do. So you want to make sure the company name and logo is on there. You want to make sure the typeface is large enough. So you'll see in the upper right of that business card my name and my title. And below that, you will see the telephone number, office, and cell. Now, some people don't put their cell phone numbers on, and that's fine, depends on your personal opinions and your company policy. And then there's the email and the website address, and there are social media links, and they are linkedin.com/in/John Turino. They are facebook.com/John Turino marketing connections. So they're actual links to those social media things where people can find them. So if you look at that, you'll see that it's got all of the elements that are necessary. It's humanly readable. It's also eminently machine readable. If you use CamCard or if you use some other mechanism for scanning your business cards and converting them into um, data that you could import into your mailing list or CRM system. So that's my rant. I wrote about this in my blog way back in 2012, 4 years ago, because about every year I get another batch of these cards that just drive me nuts trying to get the information in. So give a little thought to your business card. There are some hints and tips in my course on networking necessities, niceties, and no-nos that's up on udemy.com. That's a 40-minute course, and it's only cost $7 to take it. It's an online course, so that's available as well. Now, next came some questions, and these questions came from viewers over the past couple of weeks. And I noticed that I still don't have any questions from you folks here in real time on the chat box. So let's talk a little bit about what came in from last week. One question came in that says, "What kind of posts work best on social media?" Well, every study I've seen shows that graphics and videos are the most often liked, the most often shared, and the most often interacted with. Much more popular than just text. And when it comes to text, you want shorter rather than longer. People are not going to read a 50 or 100 word post as often as they'll read a 5 or a 10 word post. So if you can put 5 or 10 words in, perhaps with a link, and then use a video, you've got a much better chance of it being read. I also saw something the other day that said that if you post a YouTube video on Facebook, it's less likely to be shown by Facebook to other people than if you embed that video directly into your Facebook page when you do the post. So just like you would add a picture, you can add a video on Facebook without using the YouTube link, and you're 5 times more likely to have somebody interact with that or share it. Interesting statistic, right? So you learn these little things as you go along. Someone else asked, what are the mistakes that people make when posting on social media? Well, there's a little graphic there. Proofread your posts before you post them, before you hit the publish button or the post or the save button. Spelling errors make you look stupid. Bad grammar make you look dumb. Inaccurate things make you look like you haven't done your homework. Spelling is a simple thing. Most programs have a spell checker. I know that on Facebook and LinkedIn, mine will show me when I have a misspelled word. You can always Google it in a different window, find out the right way to spell it, copy and paste it in. So there's no excuse for bad spelling. And bad grammar is another one. And the examples are rampant there. For example, there versus there, THERE versus THIER. People misuse those so often it's scary. The same with your and your, YOUR and YOU apostrophe RE. When you are putting up your posts, then you want to use your for you are and your for something that you own it. So you can also check your grammar. I mean, there's lots more like that, but the two that stick out to me the most are there and your. Those are the most common mistakes. And then make sure that your posts are accurate. Some people share posts that they see which are just absolutely false. So you want to go to something like Snopes.com and find out if what you're posting is real or not. Snopes will tell you if it's an urban myth or a hoax or whatever. You can lose a lot of credibility posting garbage that's not true that people can check themselves on Snopes. And then the third question that came in is how often should I post on social media? And my basic answer to that is post as often as you have something that's either engaging, entertaining, or otherwise useful content to share with people. If it isn't engaging, entertaining, or useful content, then don't share it. Nobody cares. Now, it can be content you generate on your own, or it can be curated content. And there are actually tools that you can use to find out which content is most popular on the internet and most popular in the various social media platforms. And you can post that kind of content, which will increase the number of likes and shares and interactions that you get from your social media posts. It's another interesting aspect of using curated information. And as long as it's related to what you do or related to the people that you're posting it for, it is very likely it might be at least looked at, if not liked or shared. So those were the questions that came in. They were all social media related this week. If you have questions that you would like me to answer in a future episode of Monday Marketing Minutes, I do this every 2 weeks on Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Send them to me at John, Jon, at John Turino, JONTURINO.com. John at JohnTurino.com. Send me your questions, put Monday Marketing Minutes or MMM question in the subject line, and I'll be happy to address it in a future episode of Monday Marketing Minutes. Love to have your questions. So there's more information available from me, John Turino, and John Turino Marketing and Connections. You can visit my website, http://johnturino.com. On there, you'll find things like the subscription event calendar. That calendar, which costs you $5 a month, has listings of all the events, marketing and networking events that might be of interest to you in the Portland and Vancouver area. Focuses on Portland, but I do include Vancouver and Beaverton and the West Hills now and then. I cull that information from 30 to 40 different sources, and I update whenever I get new information to put up there. So instead of you spending a half an hour or an hour searching all the various meetups and other websites, you can just go to my calendar and you can find the ones you need to go to. There are also links to the online courses that I've mentioned throughout here and the ebooks. There is a course on networking niceties, necessities, and no-nos. There's also one on building your marketing plan. So if you haven't done a marketing plan as part of your overall business plan, there's a nice little course up on Udemy on marketing plan development. In the ebooks I mentioned, there's Presentations that Persuade, Marketing Strategy Development. There are also some worksheets available that help you with your marketing planning and your tactic planning as well, strategies and tactics. And there are links to my two books, the A to Z blog book, which came out in 2013, and the Inspiration Now book, which came out at the beginning of last year. Inspiration Now has gotten rave reviews from the people that read it. It's a real kick in the pants if you need a boost of optimism, if you need some motivation to get you moving, if you're stuck in anything and you want to get unstuck. So I'd highly recommend that for you. You can get it on Amazon. It's an ebook for $3.49, and the print version is like $12.95. So anyway, you'll find lots of resources and links that are of value to you on my website, and I invite you to visit it. So that's it for today's Monday Marketing Minutes. The survey said try to keep it between 20 and 30 minutes. We're at about 26 minutes, so I think we're within that. This program is available or will be available in a few hours up on YouTube because I do a small edit to cut off the beginning of where it's blank and the end a little bit. And then YouTube reprocesses it and puts it up on my channel. So you'll be able to watch the replay if you weren't able to watch all of this or if you tuned in late. You can also share that with other people if you found this of value and you'd like them to have a chance to look at it. Please do feel free to share the replay, not only by sending them an email or whatever, but feel free to post it on Facebook. Feel free to post it on LinkedIn. You'll find it in many, many places and or places to post it. And don't forget to check the subscription calendar on my website for those events that might be of use to you. So thank you very much for tuning in today. I truly welcome you, and I thank you for watching. I'll see you again on March 7th for the next Monday Marketing Minutes. In the meantime, have a great Monday and have a great week. Thanks.